I'm 37 years old, and my family just found out I'm not the pathetic loser they thought I was. The panic in their voices through my apartment door is almost worth the 15 years of humiliation I've endured. Almost. Let me back up. My dad, Randy, retired last Saturday after 40 years at a manufacturing plant. Big party, catered event, the whole deal. I wasn't invited. Found out about it when my cousin Evan posted photos on Instagram 3 days before. The venue was this nice hotel ballroom downtown. Maybe 200 people. I called my mom, Gail, to ask why I didn't get an invitation, and she actually laughed. Told me they weren't sure I could afford the gas money to drive there, and they didn't want me embarrassing them by asking guests for money. She said this like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. Here's what you need to understand about my family. I'm the youngest of 3 sons. My oldest brother, Henry, runs a car dealership. Middle brother, Joel, works in real estate. Both married. Both have kids. Both make decent money. Then there's me. I never went to college because I spent my early 20s taking care of my grandmother, Anita, when she had cancer. The family needed someone to do it, and I was the obvious choice since I wasn't doing anything important with my life anyway. That's actually what my dad said when we discussed it. I moved into her place, did her medications, drove her to appointments, cooked her meals. She died when I was 26. After that, I couldn't really figure out what to do with myself. Started doing delivery work because it was flexible and I needed money. My family decided this meant I was a failure. Every family gathering became an opportunity to remind me that I was wasting my life. My brothers would talk about their quarterly earnings while I sat there. My mom would introduce me to people as her son who never quite found his direction. My dad stopped asking me about work altogether. 3 years ago, something changed. Dad was talking about retirement planning at Christmas dinner. He was worried about money. The plant had cut their pension contributions, and he was looking at maybe 60% of what he'd expected. My mom was anxious about their mortgage. They'd refinanced twice and still had 15 years left on payments. Henry suggested they sell the house and downsize, but Mom refused. That house was her identity in the neighborhood. I offered to help. I told them I'd been saving money and could contribute to their mortgage payments. My dad looked at me like I'd offered him Monopoly money. He actually said, "Where would you get real money from, your DoorDash tips?" The whole table laughed, but I was serious. I'd been putting away money for years. Not a lot at first, but it added up. I'd been living cheap, way below my means, in a basement apartment that cost me next to nothing. I'd been investing small amounts consistently. I had money, more than they thought, but they didn't want my help. Dad told me he'd rather take a second mortgage than take money from his son who delivered Chinese food for a living. I stopped offering after that and stopped going to family events unless absolutely necessary. They'd still call me when they needed something. Joel needed help moving furniture. Henry needed someone to dog sit for a week. Mom needed rides to doctor appointments when Dad was working. I did these things because they were family. So, when I found out about Dad's retirement party, I decided I was done being invisible. I bought him a gift, a nice one. A vintage watch from an estate sale, probably worth $1,500. I had it cleaned and serviced, put it in a good presentation box. I drove to that hotel on Saturday night and walked into that ballroom with my gift. The place went quiet when I came in, not immediately, but in this spreading wave as people noticed me. I was wearing my regular clothes, jeans and a jacket, because I wasn't trying to impress anyone. I just wanted to give my dad his gift. I found him near the bar, talking to an old coworker. He saw me coming, and his face did this thing where he looked confused and then angry. Dad said, "What the hell are you doing here?" loud enough that people nearby stopped their conversations. I told him I wanted to give him a retirement gift. I held out the box. He didn't take it. He looked around at his friends and then back at me. He said, "Holy crap, the loser actually came. Somebody should call security." People laughed. I thought maybe he was joking at first, but his face was serious. My mom appeared out of nowhere. She grabbed a microphone from the DJ booth. I don't know why the DJ gave it to her. She said this into the microphone to the entire room. "That's our son, 37 years old, no job, no woman, no future. Just thought everyone should know who just walked in." The room went completely silent. I stood there holding this box. My brother Joel pushed through the crowd and got in my face. He said, "You still owe me $300 from Christmas, deadbeat." I'd borrowed money from him 2 years ago for car repairs and paid him back within a month, but I guess he decided I hadn't. My uncle on Dad's side started laughing and told everyone I made less than minimum wage doing delivery work. My Aunt Celeste, Dad's sister, announced that I lived in a basement apartment with roaches and she'd seen pictures. I don't have roaches. I've never had roaches. One of Dad's coworkers asked if I was the one who got rejected from a retail job. Dad nodded and said 3 times that wasn't true. I'd never applied to work retail, but he said it like it was a well-known fact. Mom added that they'd been telling people I was traveling in Europe because it was better than admitting I existed. My cousin Evan yelled that even homeless people had more pride than me. I set the gift down on the nearest table. I looked at my dad and told him, "Happy retirement." Then I walked out. Nobody followed me. Nobody apologized. I heard them laughing as I left. I went home and sat in my apartment. I didn't feel sad exactly. I felt clear, like something I'd been waiting for had finally happened. I'd spent years thinking maybe they'd eventually see me differently, maybe realize I wasn't a failure, but they'd made their position obvious. They wanted me to be the family embarrassment. It gave them someone to feel superior to. Here's what they don't know. I'm not broke. That basement apartment I live in? I own the building. Bought it 7 years ago as an investment property. I live in the basement unit because it saves money, and the other 3 units generate income. I have investments, not a fortune, but enough that I haven't needed to worry about money in years. The delivery work is something I do because I like driving, listening to podcasts, and not having a boss. It's not my identity. It's just a job. I also have something else they don't know about. When my grandmother died, she left me her house. My parents assumed she'd left everything to my dad since he was her only child. But she'd changed her will during the last year of her life. She told me she was doing it, but I never mentioned it to anyone. The house was paid off. I sold it and invested the money. That's where my Real Financial Foundation came from. My family has no idea. Sunday morning, I woke up to a text from Joel asking why I was trying to ruin Dad's night. Nothing from my parents, nothing from Henry. I didn't respond. I went about my day, did some deliveries, came home, watched TV, went to bed around 11 o'clock. At 4 in the morning, I woke up to pounding on my apartment door, loud, desperate pounding. Then voices, multiple voices. My dad yelling my name. My mom sobbing. Joel saying, "Please, please open the door." I got up and looked through the peephole. My entire family was in the hallway. Mom, Dad, both brothers, my aunt, my uncle, all of them. Mom was crying hard, like someone had died. Dad's face was red and panicked. They were saying they were sorry, saying they were joking, saying I was family, saying, "Please, God, make it stop." Make what stop? I had no idea. I didn't open the door. I stood there watching them through the peephole. My dad pounded on the door again and yelled they needed to talk to me right now. It was an emergency. They were sorry for everything, but I had to let them in. I went back to bed. The pounding continued for maybe 20 minutes, then stopped. I checked the peephole again, and the hallway was empty. I got back in bed but couldn't sleep. My phone was blowing up with texts and calls, all from family members, all saying the same things. "We're sorry. We need to talk. Please answer. It's important. We were wrong. Please." I turned my phone off and went back to sleep. When I woke up at 9 o'clock, I turned my phone back on. 63 missed calls, 42 text messages, 3 voicemails. I listened to one voicemail. It was my mom begging me to call her back, saying they needed my help desperately, saying she'd do anything. I still haven't called them back. It's been 2 days. They keep trying. They showed up at my building again Monday night. I didn't answer. They tried calling my landlord until they realized I am the landlord. They don't know what to do now. And I'm sitting here trying to figure out what they want from me so badly that they'd spend hours pounding on my door at 4 a.m. Okay, so the comments on my last video for Hidden Lies were insane. Some of you guessed correctly. Some of you were way off. A few of you told me I should just forgive them because they're family, and honestly, respectfully, those comments made me laugh. You don't humiliate someone for 15 years and then get forgiveness because you need something. I need to back up a bit and explain something I didn't mention before. When my grandmother Anita died and left me her house, there was something else in the will. She had a life insurance policy. Nothing massive, but it was specifically designated for her final expenses, and anything left over was supposed to go to my dad, except she changed the beneficiary to me about 6 months before she died. I found out when the insurance company contacted me. It was $48,000 after they paid out her funeral costs and remaining medical bills. My dad was expecting that money. He'd been counting on it. When he found out I got it instead, he was furious. He called me and said I needed to do the right thing and give him that money since it was clearly meant for him as her son. I told him the policy had my name on it, and that was Grandma's choice, not mine. He said I'd obviously manipulated her when she was sick and weak, said I'd taken advantage of her trust. My mom got on the phone and cried about how disrespectful I was being to my father. How could I keep money that should have been his? I told them I wasn't giving them anything, and if they kept harassing me about it, I'd stop taking their calls. They backed off eventually, but it damaged things permanently. That was 11 years ago. They've brought it up maybe a dozen times since then in various ways, usually when they're mad at me about something else. You stole from your own father. You manipulated a dying woman. You're a thief. I never responded to it, just let them say what they wanted to say. So Tuesday morning, I'm at home, and my phone starts ringing at 7 a.m. It's Joel. I don't answer. He calls back immediately. Then Henry calls, then my dad, then my mom. This goes on for 10 minutes straight, just rotating through the 4 of them. I finally answer when Joel calls for the 4th time. He's talking fast, overlapping his words. Says they need to meet with me today, right now if possible. It's extremely important, and they're sorry about everything that happened at the party. I ask him what this is about. He says they need to discuss it in person. I tell him no, if he wants to talk to me, he can do it right now on the phone or not at all. There's silence. Then I hear him talking to someone else. Sounds like he's covering the phone. When he comes back, he says fine, they'll explain. He tells me my parents are in serious financial trouble. They got behind on their mortgage payments during the pandemic and never caught up. They've been making partial payments for 3 years, trying to get current, but the bank's patience has run out. They're facing foreclosure. They have 90 days to pay $26,000, or they lose the house. I don't say anything. Joel keeps talking. Says mom and dad are devastated, says they've tried everything. They applied for a loan modification but got denied. They looked into a reverse mortgage but don't qualify because of the existing debt. Henry offered to help, but he's got his own problems with the dealership. Joel's got issues with a bad real estate investment. Neither of them can come up with that kind of money right now. I ask why they think I can help. Joel actually laughs, this bitter sound. Says they know I've got money. Says Aunt Celeste did some digging and found out I own my building. Says they looked up property records and saw I bought it for cash 7 years ago. Says they know about Grandma's life insurance money in her house, and they know I've been sitting on all of it while pretending to be poor. I tell Joel that's fascinating detective work, but I'm not sure why it concerns me. He gets frustrated. Says I'm their brother, their son. I can't just let them lose their house. I remind him that 4 days ago, he called me a deadbeat in front of 200 people. He says he's sorry, they're all sorry, they were stupid and drunk and showing off. Says this is bigger than some dumb comments at a party. I ask him if Dad's sorry. Joel goes quiet again. Then I hear my dad's voice in the background, telling Joel to give him the phone. My dad gets on, and his voice has this forced calm to it. Says we need to talk man to man about this situation. Says he knows there's been tension between us, but family has to help family. I ask him if he remembers what he said to me on Saturday. He says he already apologized for that. They all did and we need to move past it. I tell him he didn't apologize. He showed up at my door at 4 o'clock in the morning, panicking and begging, but he never actually said he was sorry for what he did. Dad says he's saying it now, he's sorry, they're all sorry. Now can we please focus on the real problem here? I ask him what the real problem is. He says the real problem is his house, his mortgage, his financial situation that could have been avoided if I'd done the right thing years ago. This is where I start laughing. I can't help it. I ask him if he's seriously blaming me for his mortgage problems. He says if I'd given him that insurance money like I should have, he would have paid down his mortgage and they wouldn't be in this position. He says I created this problem by keeping money that wasn't mine. I tell him that's an interesting perspective, but I'm going to pass on helping him. He starts yelling. Says I owe him. Says after everything they did for me, raising me, feeding me, putting a roof over my head for 18 years, this is how I repay them. I hang up. Joel calls back immediately. I don't answer. They call 17 more times over the next hour. I block all their numbers. Here's where it gets complicated. Tuesday afternoon, I'm out doing deliveries, and I stop at a gas station. I'm filling up my car when Henry pulls into the spot next to me. This isn't a coincidence, he followed me. He gets out and walks over and starts talking before I can say anything. Henry tells me he understands I'm angry, but I need to think about Mom. Says she's not sleeping, she's barely eating, she's terrified of losing the house she's lived in for 30 years. Says this isn't about Dad or him or Joel, it's about our mother and whether I'm the kind of person who can watch her suffer. I tell Henry that Mom stood in front of 200 people and said she wished I didn't exist. Henry says she didn't mean it like that. I ask him how exactly she meant it. He doesn't have an answer. I finish filling my tank. Henry follows me inside when I go to pay. He's still talking. Says they need an answer by Friday because that's when the bank needs the payment. Says they're asking me for a loan, not a gift. They'll pay me back over time, with interest if I want. I ask him how they plan to pay me back when they can't even make their current mortgage payment. He says once they get current, they'll be fine. They just need help getting over this hurdle. I pay for my gas and walk back to my car. Henry grabs my arm, not hard, just enough to stop me. He says I need to understand that if Mom and Dad lose this house, they're going to have to move in with one of us, probably him since his house is biggest. Says his wife, Monica, is already stressed about it. Says this is going to affect everyone in the family, not just Mom and Dad. I pull my arm away and tell Henry that sounds like a family problem. He asks if I'm really not part of this family anymore. I tell him I stopped being part of this family when Dad called me a loser in front of everyone he's ever worked with. Henry says I'm being petty, says this is people's lives and homes, and I'm acting like a child holding a grudge. I get in my car. Henry stands there looking defeated. As I'm pulling away, he shouts that they're going to figure this out without me, and I'm going to regret not helping when I had the chance. I drive off. Wednesday, they try a different approach. My Aunt Celeste shows up at my building around 6 p.m. She knocks on my door. I look through the peephole and see her standing there with this apologetic expression. I don't open the door. She starts talking anyway, loud enough that I can hear through the door. She says she's not here on behalf of my parents, she's here as someone who cares about me. Says she knows they treated me terribly, and she's ashamed she participated. Says when she made that comment about roaches, she was drunk and trying to get laughs and it was cruel. Says she's genuinely sorry. I still don't open the door. She keeps talking. Celeste says she's worried about what this is doing to the family. Says my parents are desperate, and when people are desperate, they make bad decisions. Says my dad has been talking about taking out a predatory high-interest loan, and that's going to destroy them financially for the rest of their lives. Says if I could just loan them even half the money they need, it would buy them time to figure something else out. I open the door. Celeste looks relieved. I tell her I appreciate her coming here, but I'm not interested in helping people who spent 15 years making sure I knew how worthless they thought I was. She says they never thought I was worthless, they just didn't understand my choices. I ask her what choices exactly. The choice to take care of Grandma while everyone else was too busy? The choice to live modestly and save money? The choice to not brag about my finances? Celeste doesn't have an answer. She says family is complicated, and everyone makes mistakes. I tell her she's right, and their mistake was assuming I'd forget how they treated me. She tears up. Says she hopes I can find it in myself to forgive them someday. I close the door. Thursday morning, I get a text from a number I don't recognize. It's my mom using someone else's phone. She says she knows I blocked them, but she needs me to listen. Says they're going to lose everything. Says Dad's pride is destroyed, and he's admitted he was wrong about me. Says he wants to apologize properly if I'll just meet with them. I don't respond. 10 minutes later, another text from a different number. It's Dad. Says he's not too proud to beg. Says he'll get on his knees in front of me if that's what I want. Says, name your terms, whatever you need from me to make this right. I block both numbers. Thursday afternoon, Joel shows up at my building with his wife. I don't know her well, we've maybe spoken a dozen times in the years they've been married. She knocks on my door while Joel stands back. When I open it, she immediately starts crying. Says she's sorry for bothering me, but she's desperate. Says Joel's been having panic attacks about Mom and Dad losing their house. Says he feels responsible because he's the one who got them to refinance their mortgage 10 years ago, and now he thinks this is his fault. I tell her I'm sorry Joel's having panic attacks, but that's not my problem. She says, please just consider it. Says they'll do anything. I ask her what anything means. She says whatever I want, apologies, family therapy, Joel and Henry publicly admitting they were wrong about me, whatever it takes. I tell her I'll think about it. She thanks me and leaves. I'm not going to help them. I want to be clear about that for hidden lies. I've spent years being their punching bag, their backup plan, their disappointment. I've watched them dismiss everything I did, mock every choice I made, and treat me like I was something embarrassing they had to tolerate. And now that they need me, now that I have something they want, they're willing to apologize. They're willing to admit they were wrong. It's not enough. It's not even close to enough. But watching them scramble is the most satisfaction I've felt in 15 years. Dad comes out of the house. He's carrying a box. He sees me and drops it. The box breaks open, and stuff spills everywhere. He doesn't pick it up. He walks toward me, and for a second I think he's going to hit me, but he stops a few feet away. He says I'm dead to him. Says as far as he's concerned, he only has 2 sons now. Says he never wants to see me or hear from me again. I tell him that's been true for 15 years. He's just finally saying it out loud. He turns around and goes back in the house. They finish loading the truck by noon. I stay and watch the whole thing. Henry keeps glaring at me. Joel won't look at me at all. Monica tells me I should be ashamed of myself. Evan says I'm going to regret this someday. Aunt Celeste just shakes her head. Mom is the last one to leave. She stands at the front door for a long time, just looking at the house. Then she gets in Henry's car, and they drive away. The moving truck follows. I wait until they're gone, and then I walk up to the house. I use my key to go inside. It's empty, they took everything. The place echoes. I walk through the rooms. This was my childhood home. I spent 18 years here. Now it's mine again, but it's just empty rooms and old memories. I lock up and leave. I drive home. My phone is blowing up with messages, family members I haven't heard from in years telling me what a terrible person I am, friends of my parents saying they can't believe what I did, Joel texting that Mom and Dad are staying with him temporarily and his wife is furious and it's all my fault. I block all the numbers. I sit in my apartment. It's quiet, no pounding on the door, no desperate phone calls, no one begging me for anything. This is what I wanted, for them to feel what I felt, for them to lose something important because someone they trusted decided they weren't worth protecting, for them to stand outside my door at 4 a.m., sobbing and begging and getting nothing back. And I got it. I won. They lost their house. They lost their dignity. They lost their sense of security. Dad's gambling problem is now public knowledge in the family. Mom's perfect neighborhood image is destroyed. My brothers have to deal with the fallout. Everyone knows I had the money to help and chose not to. Everyone knows they're living with the consequences of 15 years of treating me like I was worthless. Some of you watching Hidden Lies are going to say I went too far, that I should have been the bigger person, that family is family, and you're supposed to forgive. But here's what I learned from my family. People will treat you exactly as badly as you let them. And when you finally stop letting them, when you finally make them face consequences, they'll call you the villain. They'll say you're cruel and vindictive and heartless. They'll tell everyone who will listen that you're the problem. And maybe I am. Maybe buying their house and evicting them makes me as bad as they say. But at least now when I look in the mirror, I see someone who doesn't accept being treated like garbage anymore. I see someone who made them pay for 15 years of humiliation. I see someone who finally put himself first. The house is mine. They're gone. Thanks for watching Hidden Lies.